Hi, this is Senior Susie, and I'm going to talk more about Governor DeSantis. I am a resident of Florida. I'm an independent voter. I just did a video about my opinions as an independent voter, but I want to speak more about Governor DeSantis. Um, a lot of people in Florida don't realize how much legislation he has signed um, as soon as he got in office, really. Uh, Way over 250 different bills that he agreed to. One that most people wouldn't like is that he agreed to raise the electric bills, Florida Power and Light, by 20%. Another thing that people might not realize about how he is trying to whitewash and change history. Um, I just don't think that's right. Everything should be age appropriate to children in school, but history is history, and we need to keep that as our history. Um, People can have their own opinions about it, but it needs to be told as it is, age appropriate. Um, and I did talk about a couple other things. I talked about the LGBTQ, sorry if I said the letters wrong, but talked about that in my previous video, and I talked about guns in my previous video and abortion in my previous video. But what I did not get to is immigration. I want to talk about that now. And another thing I didn't get to is much more personal. Um, and that is environmental, and it has to do with energy, but very personal for me. So I'm going to get into those things, those two subjects right now. First of all, immigration. Yes, there is a terrible crisis at the border. It's out of control. I agree. Having had lived right on the border in California, I know that it is absolutely impossible to build a wall where I lived because it was very steep, rugged terrain. Um, you could only travel it by foot or horseback. Forget about building a wall. You couldn't get a truck up there. It's a stupid idea. You can't build a wall all the way across the border. I do believe that it might be proper to have military there on the border. I National Guard, definitely. I think that it's very important to vet, screen all the immigrants, and maybe laws need to be tightened up. There needs to be a plan in place to send immigrants all over the country so they aren't, you know, the border towns are not overflowing, and the sanctuary cities are not overflowing. I believe that every city should be a sanctuary city, that every city should take in their share of immigrants, especially the political asylum seekers. They need our help, but there should be more stress and emphasis on the countries they're coming from to do their share, to do what they need to do. And even I believe that our government should go ahead and do these covert assassinations where necessary to wipe out the drug cartels and the evil coups and politicians and terrorists and whatever that cause people to migrate, that they can't stay in their own country because things are so rough. We need to be supportive of democracy and fairness in government all around the world. Um, have mercy, have a heart for the immigrants. They struggled to get here. They went through more than most Americans ever go through just to come to our country for hope. Have mercy on them. But we do need to draw a line. Most of them, I mean, by far, I mean, the amount that I read was like 175 were busted for being on the terrorist list. 175, that's just like such a minimal amount of compared to all the hundreds of thousands or millions, I don't know how many immigrants have come through the past few years. Um, the terrorists are not the biggest problem. The drugs are not, because the drugs and terrorists come through many different avenues. They don't have to come illegally across the border. They're smart enough to do it other ways that they are not busted at the border. Like, I mean, that they don't come that way. They come through vehicles, not on foot. They come through tunnels. Drugs can come through drones. They can come on the airlines. There's so many ways that things can get smuggled and people can get by. It's not the poor people that are coming through the borders. DeSantis wants to shoot them. I heard him say it twice. I know it's so bizarre and crazy and just disgusting. It's unbelievable. Um, but he did say it at least twice. I saw him within the last 3 weeks. I saw him say it twice. And I'm not talking about a little excerpt somebody took from somewhere. I'm talking about when he was interviewed, when he gave a speech, whatever, twice. The second time was during the debate. It was towards the end of the second Republican debate. You have to watch to the end to see it. But he confirmed again that he wanted to shoot them coming over the border. First time I heard it, he said anyone with a backpack sneaking over the border needs to be shot. Almost all of them have a backpack. They came miles and miles, hundreds, thousands of miles. Of course they have a backpacks. They all have backpacks and just shoot them. Talk about genocide. Unbelievable. And he claims to be a Christian. That is not God's way. No way. God's way, it's all through the Bible to open your land, open your hearts to the aliens, help them. It's in the Bible many, many times. Okay, to move on to the more personal thing. The more personal thing that DeSantis is doing that affects me is his stance on energy. He's not an environmentalist. And I'm not an extremist. I believe that we were commissioned by God to take care of our planet. But I won't go as extreme as some do, because I do believe that humans are in charge and number one priority. But I do believe we need to preserve our species, our animals, and various living creatures and wetlands, trees, and all that. We need to protect our environment as far as pollution goes. DeSantis has an agenda where he has authorized what they called them fuel farms, which I don't like that at all. They are storage facilities for fuel that you get at the gas station, diesel, regular gasoline for cars, and jet for fuel, that he has authorized for these huge facilities to pop up all around Florida. And the purpose is, like he says, in case of a hurricane, so we don't get inconvenience for maybe a few days or a few weeks at the most, that we might not be able to get gas. So we need to build these huge storage facilities that are polluting and very high risk safety hazards. And one of them is less than a mile from my house, a quarter mile from my subdivision. I live in a senior community. I'm 71 years old. I live in a lovely senior community here, only less than 4 miles from the beach. beautiful little town, small town, and he wants to put this big industrial storage facility um, right next to us. Okay, we are in Central Florida, which is the lightning capital of the world. Chances of one of those gas tanks getting hit by lightning is very high. Hurricanes can damage the storage tanks. They have to have ventilation. Um, the ventilation, the openings can be ripped off. The flaps, whatever, can be ripped off in a hurricane. Um, Also, we have an airport right next door. The airport is a small training airport. Embry Riddle. They train pilots there from all over the world. It's an international training airport. How high, in your mind, how high are the chances of a jihadist terrorist attack from a small plane coming out of that airport, going just on takeoff, purposely slamming into one of those gas tanks, which could cause major explosion, cause evacuation of 5 mile radius? I'm within 1 mile, okay? Also, besides that, there's a sports facility right next door, a sports facility for children where they play soccer and baseball, and there's 1,000 parents and kids there every weekend, and after school there's kids practicing. Right next to that, he chose this site to put a fuel terminal. Okay, this is Belvedere is the name of the company. It's affiliated. It's also part of the Florida railroad system, and it's owned by Grupo Mexico. And they're the ones that will be building it and running it. And this is DeSantis' agenda to make Florida fuel independent in case of a hurricane. If there's a bad hurricane, you can't go anywhere for a few days anyway. You also have plenty of warning to fuel up your tank. We don't need all these fuel terminals in case of a hurricane. The fuel terminals are there. Some kind of partnership with the governor of Texas, I'm sure. Um, Look that up. Anyway, they're there because he wants to be fuel independent. Because many Republicans are talking about seceding from the Union. They're talking about, breaking away like the South used to be. Anyway, this is very personal to me because of all this. Also, the pollution, the odor is gonna ruin our lovely little haven here that we worked so hard to retire to live here. And the traffic is going to be terrible. It's going to be every 6 to 7 minutes, tanker trucks going out, coming in, filling up, and going out every 6 to 7 minutes, 24/7. They're talking about, like, I'm pretty sure 20 million gallons of fuel they want to store right next to a senior community of 1,000 residents. This is our Governor DeSantis, who doesn't really care about us. And it's very sad that most Floridians don't even realize what he's doing. He's doing it so quick, and people don't even realize it It's very sad. But I've mentioned it in my other video. I hope you watch uh, the one about independent voter. Um, if you Google independent voter opinion, hopefully it'll come up. Hope you subscribe, and like me, subscribe to my channel. I'll try to keep you informed. I don't really like to talk politics, but I do love to keep up. I just need to keep up. I need to know what's going on, and I know a lot of you don't. And so I want to help you in a simple way, okay? Uh, please keep watching. Thank you. God bless.